already want to leave. What is going on?
Successful hate watch warrants a special occasion on the podcast today.
Oh my god.
Couldn't let this opportunity go.
For those that don't know, Hunter is wearing a full-on suit.
It's a great day to be an American. Pacers lose, America wins. And by golly, does Hunter Rose win?
Hunter, I'm super tempted to throw mine on too in a second, but I feel like that would just be copying at this point.
And there's the Bucks hat. Welcome back to the Hardwood Convos podcast. I'm Brock Bierman alongside Hunter Rose, who is just happy. I don't know if I've ever seen this man happier outside of when Giannis sealed it against the Phoenix Suns a couple years ago in the NBA Finals. Also alongside Dawson Livingston, which I'm not sure we'll get into his opinions on this result of these NBA Finals. And the fact that he mentioned that he wanted to put on a suit too makes me think I know where this is going. But welcome back to the podcast. The NBA Finals are officially over. The Oklahoma City Thunder are your NBA champs, which, I mean, going into this year probably isn't a shock when you really talk about who potentially was going to win the championship. I think everybody had Oklahoma City as a legit title contender. How we got here is not necessarily what was envisioned by a bunch of NBA fans. And that's not even talking about necessarily just Indiana and their run to the finals, but everything else that kind of went on in the playoffs this year. And I mean, heck, Dawson, you mentioned this before we started even recording. We could do 2 episodes. I think we could do even more than that in terms of just everything that has happened from now looking back at the playoffs as a whole, the NBA Finals. I mean, there's a bunch of trades going on. We are, recording here on a Tuesday night, June 24th. The next day is the NBA draft. So we have that coming up. We may end up dropping 2 episodes. We'll see. Maybe a double episode in one day. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible, but we'll see what we do with this. But first of all, we start with every episode asking the guys how we're doing. So, Dawson or Hunter, I'm assuming one of you wants to kick it off. How are we feeling, fellas?
I'll lead the way so Hunter can have his hurrah. Great NBA Finals. Even though I was rooting for the Thunder, the Pacers kept it a really competitive series. First Game 7 NBA Finals we've had in 9 years, which you don't realize how rare those are. They only happened 9 times, I think, since the mergers, the stat I saw. So anytime those happen, you kind of have to appreciate them. Some will say we were robbed of a great Game 7, and some have fair points on that. But as someone who picked the Thunder in this series and has been supporting the Thunder really since the Lakers got knocked out in the first round, I was happy for the Thunder to win their title. They were pretty much the best team all year, 68 wins, had the MVP, had the scoring champ, and they capped off a perfect season with a championship. In 7, it was tough, but in the end, they prevailed as the best team in the league.
What a great day. What a great day we had on a fantastic Game 7. Finally, after round upon round and then upon round, I finally got to witness my number 1 op get taken down after all these years.
Literally.
It honestly felt like years at this point. This is a long playoffs. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, though, I definitely am happy that the Thunder ended up winning. Took more games than it should have, but regardless. And as much as I hate the Pacers, I would have preferred to have seen them lose at full strength. Kind of was unfortunate to see an injury happen so quickly. Not even going to get into the what ifs because we could sit here and talk about the entire playoffs about what ifs if players didn't get hurt. So, I think there is
The
that
only
reality.
team that can't really talk about what ifs, the Cavs. I'm sorry. I know they were a little bit injured, but
We're not talking Cavs right now. We're talking Thunder
True.
and Pacers.
True. But yeah, honestly though, even pre-game 7, little fun fact for those out there. I was actually in the state of Indiana for, I believe it would have been game 5 that the Thunder came back? Game 4. Game 4, because game 5 would have been in
Quattro.
OKC. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Maybe around some Pacers
now I know
fans
why it
for
happened.
the night.
Now I know why it happened.
And
you guys accused the
I,
Pacers of devil magic, and
yeah,
here's Hunter out here.
When we going into game 6, when it was going back to Indy, I about convinced I'm like, I have to make my way back. Like, I don't have to go to the game. I have to find a way back to Indiana though. Ended up not, obviously. But yeah. I will say too, Thunder fans who now have TJ McConnell in their nightmares, don't worry. That's been the case for a while. Welcome to the club. I hate that guy. He's the worst. All right. So that's all I'm doing. Threw a filet mignon on the grill. Made a nice pasta dinner the next day. Been eating good since then.
So obviously we need to is he
Yes.
I thought he was putting on the suit. Okay, no.
No, not yet. I want to, but not yet.
We obviously have kind of hit around, the elephant in the room of Tyrese Halliburton going down early, tearing his Achilles, which, I mean, a lot of people are upset, sad that this happened. I mean, anyone that, let's be honest, even though it might be a little funny and stuff like that, I know that Hunter and Dawson, like, no one wishes for any player to like lose literally an entire year of their career with how long these Achilles injuries last. Maybe outside of Jason Tatum, because I know a bunch of people hate Jason Tatum anyways for no reason, or I guess not no reason. He wears the Celtics jersey, and that just brings along its own baggage anyways. But yeah, I don't know when you guys probably started watching the game before it started during the pregame and everything. I actually joined the game late, and we didn't have the audio really high on the TV, so I wasn't. All of a sudden, 8 minutes went by, and I was like, wait, like, because for some reason at first they literally just didn't show the replay, and then all of a sudden they were like, okay, let's show it every 2 minutes, which I can get on my soapbox on the production that not only ESPN but a lot of broadcast groups do for injuries, and it's kind of disgusting to me as someone that has worked in broadcast. But we're not going to talk about that. However, when they did their first transition to the injury, I don't think it was, if I remember correctly, I don't think it was a close-up. The one that I saw, at least, it was the wide shot that they had. And I didn't even need to see him plant his foot. I instantly knew what was about to happen. And I instantly knew what the injury was going to be. And then when they cut over to the shot of him on the ground screaming, I think I could read his lips. I think he said, "I did," or something like that. Something along the lines of that to the trainer, which, I mean, everybody that has been following his injury for the past couple of days knows that the calf strains leads to a bigger chance in tearing your Achilles. And so I'm assuming that's exactly what the trainer was asking about, was it his Achilles? And so, yeah, unfortunate situation, and not exactly what, you want as an NBA fan in the finals of Game 7. Exactly. Dawson mentioned Game 7 hasn't been a thing since the Warriors and Cavs series all those years ago. And, man, I posted something on social media as well. Like, Achilles injuries are the new ACL injuries of the NBA. And it's kind of sad how many of our favorite athletes have unfortunately torn their Achilles recently. And I mean, Hunter and I have probably gotten the most experience watching our favorite players go down with those recently. So, what are your guys' thoughts on? We'll start with Indiana, I guess, or I guess just Halliburton by himself in terms of the injury. What were your guys' thoughts when he went down? And I know that we like to have fun on this pod and all that, and I know that he's not your guys' favorite player. What to put a bow on this run that Tyrese did have though as an NBA player who coming into the NBA playoffs was rated by his own peers as the most overrated player in the league.
I think what I'll remember most from about these playoffs and the Indiana Pacers is this will be the first time, at least for me, when I think of a title run or like that playoffs, I don't instantly think of the champion. Maybe probably since the 2018 finals when LeBron carried that horrendous Cavs team to the finals and LeBron was hitting all those game winners. And that's kind of what it felt like with Halliburton. Like, while I would say that Pacers team, he had better pieces around. His ability to control the clutch for the Pacers, control the pace, really not have any stress, not face elimination until they got to game 6 when they were in their own home building and were able to force game 7. It was truly remarkable the run they were able to go on these last 2 months. For Halliburton specifically, these are the risks you take when you play on a calf strain. I think the stat I saw from Brian Windhorst is I think 24 or 25 players missed, or they had a calf strain at some point in the regular season. Every single one but Halliburton missed time, whether it was 2 or 3 weeks, whether it was a couple months. They all missed time. This is actually the same exact injury type that Durant had with his Achilles 6 years ago, where Durant suffered a calf strain, I believe, against the Rockets that year. Or maybe it was the Blazers. I'm not quite sure. And then Durant rehabbed himself to game 5, and then he instantly tore it within the first few minutes. Kind of like what Halliburton did in game 7. But it's a terrible injury. It's probably the worst injury you could probably suffer as a basketball player. You'll probably be out an entire year. He'll be back for the 26-27 season, which is crazy to say out loud. But this is the first playoffs in a while where I'm going to think of the losing team in the finals before I think of the winning team, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. I will forever hate this Pacers team. So congratulations to Indiana for that one. There's only a few teams that get on that list, and that's something to be proud of. But
it's a
that
great
does
list
have
to be a part of.
Yeah, but the reason they got on the list is because they made it farther than what I would have thought and hoped. And so I think what is interesting, and this is probably true for both. I mean, the Thunder, it's kind of hard to say because they had the MVP of basically just about everything except the most important game of the year being the in-season tournament. Shaded obviously did not win the MVP since the Bucks won the in-season tournament. Just to remind ourselves of that. But I think both of these teams, though, what I think will be remembered is that it might potentially be the kind of tip. The tipping of the scales on what is valued for teams that are wanting to win. Because both of these teams, obviously, okay, so you had the MVP, but a lot of it had to do with the rest of the squad, right? The whole idea of this big three does not exist on these teams. And I will say that first before I think I texted Chase this, I think, while I was watching the game. I am formally taking back any comments I've ever said about the OKC Thunder having a big three. I only said that because I was lazy. They don't. They have a really good squad, but it ain't a big three. All right. Chet did his thing on the defensive end of the floor, and obviously J-Dub was hurt. But the game 7, it was like decent hoops. It was also kind of disgusting. I'm not gonna lie. It was interesting to watch, to say the least. But it does show like the depth. And then even looking at Indiana, obviously Tyrese Halliburton went down. But then all of a sudden you have TJ McConnell just out here slicing and dicing and scoring basically, what was it? Did he score like all of the Pacers points for like 6 minutes?
Yep.
Basically, it was nuts. That's a backup point guard. That does not happen on a team that is centered on a big three.
You know how good he was playing? He got a fan, or not even an NBA fan. He got a sports fan who she refuses to watch the NBA, interested in watching the NBA finals in the second half because of that run he went on. I know that he's a very polarizing figure. He's the Matthew Dellavedova of this run of this team. I am not a fan of Matthew Dellavedova, but a lot of people are fans of Matthew Dellavedova for that exact same reason. So no, and that's what I'm saying. I have a lot of respect for what Dellavedova did for those Cavs teams. That's where I'm at kind of with TJ, where it's like I can understand why some people hate TJ, because it's like he's that type of player you'd want on your team. You never want to play someone like him.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like the Pacers just have people like that. Obviously, it ended up not being their night, and definitely doesn't help when one of your leader of the team goes down as quickly as he does. It's hard to keep playing after that, and they still did their thing in that first half. It was competitive. Second half just kind of got out of hand. But yeah, I think overall, like ironically, this finals will leave a legacy and probably like a marking of a new era of the big three being gone, and depth being important. There's something we've said on this podcast time and time again. So there's more talent in the league than ever before. And this exemplifies that. I think the other thing, and I think this would still be mostly true without some of the key injuries in the rest of the playoffs. But I think the Pacers simply making the finals contributed a lot to some of the things that happened both before this game and after this game, with some of the moves that Eastern Conference teams were just making out of nowhere, because all of a sudden they realized, oh, anybody in this stupid conference can go to the finals. Okay. Like, let's start putting things together.
They didn't realize that when, the Heat went as an 8 seed. Like, it took the Pacers.
Apparently not. I guess not. But yeah, just showing that, like, man, like there is all of a sudden, especially with the injuries for this next year, but it's gonna, shake up how teams look for the next few years of just teams in the East that maybe were kind of on the cusp of, not quite being a contender, but still like regular playoff appearances to, all right, it's like, we're going to get serious and like make some moves to get into a position for the next few years. And we'll worry about other stuff down the road. Just makes things really interesting. It was going to be I wasn't sure how this offseason was going to look, full transparency. And now it's like, so anything can happen. Okay.
This
awesome.
This offseason is shaping up to be one for the history books, which is funny because, like, going into it, I felt like it was like, there might be like one or two moves.
Yeah, there's some cool player options out there. We'll see if people take them or not. Now it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the finals are happening and all these trades are happening. Okay. Tight.
Like, we'll get into some of these moves. I don't know if we'll do another episode this week or not. We'll see. But within like 24, 48 hours, Boston has somehow cut $210 million off of their
tax. I hate you. I just want that to be. I despise you.
Why me?
Because you're the Celtics fan that I know, so you're gonna feel my wrath. All right, this Pacers team.
Wait for full disclosure. Can you please admit to everyone that I'm not one of those Celtics fans that everybody knows?
You're not.
I'm a good Celtics fan.
I love joking that you are, but you're not.
Okay.
On certain things, you're a good Celtics fan.
This Pacers team has distracted. They made so many deals with the devil that I have forgotten who Satan is, and he resides in Boston, Massachusetts, and his name is Bradley Stevens. how does he keep getting away with this? I don't understand what he has on teams. Like Joe Cronin, I love you for giving me Dame Lillard. What have you done since then? Besides ruin me.
Hey, shout out the Portland Trailblazers, the official G League team of the Boston Celtics.
Like people are knocking on the door of the Celtics front office. They open the door and they fall to their knees and say, please take my money. Please take anything you want. It's all yours. I don't want it. I want you to have it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting behavior. And I want to know why. Because Jonathan Orris is busy sitting on his hands, man.
So before we get back into talking about Oklahoma City and all that, for those that don't know, Boston has made 2 trades, one with the Blazers and one which is a 3-team trade involving the Atlanta Hawks and the Brooklyn Nets, right? Okay. And Simons comes to Boston. Holiday goes back to Portland, which he was there for like a total of 2 hours the last time he was there. So he's already been there longer than
Trailblazer legend. Come on.
Than the first time. I think they should retire his jersey and just have the total number of hours and minutes that he's been a member of their team. And then Kristaps Porzingis is headed to Atlanta, which we'll get into more deeper dives on this probably later on in the offseason. We'll have a lot of time to talk about this stuff. I can't remember who Brooklyn got in this trade.
They got Terrence Mann and
Okay.
a pick.
And a pick. And then, the Celtics got the minivan, George Niang, the winningest player since 2020.
See, that trade's a nothing burger for the Celtics, but because I know you, Brock, I was angry. It's like, I know there's a Celtics fan that's actually happy about this, and it makes me sick.
Because you guys know what if it holds up, as in like Brad isn't doing something right now to somehow package all of this up to get someone else. You guys know once those jerseys come out for next year, I'm buying one for George Niang. I've been waiting for this moment for an Iowa State player since Chris Babb and Abdul Nader were the last 2 Celtics players to play that also played at Iowa State. And so, no, I might actually be. I mean, I think a lot of Celtics fans are happy because they needed to get rid of Porzingis in terms of the contract situation. And I had someone reach out to me who knows I'm a huge Porzingis fan. And he's like, "What's your thoughts on the trade?" And I was like, "It had to I feel like Boston realized they had to just swallow their pride and like get rid of him because it wasn't gonna help them." And he replied with, "Oh, it was a terrible trade for Boston." I was like, skill wise, yes, they didn't get a great player in return. I do think Niang is a player that could play a pivotal role in a championship team in terms of off the bench kind of stuff. Dawson, I know you're like cringing or whatever, but you know what? He's the winningest player. You guys traded him, and look at where that got you.
Okay.
The thing is,
we're not going to say that us trading Niang was the reason we lost the Pacers, dude. We're not saying that.
I mean, Niang was a great defender. He probably could have stopped Tyrese.
Dude, he couldn't stop a cold. Come on now.
The thing is, like, I love Anthony Simons. There's some people out there that don't, and obviously George Niang is George Niang. But, like, there are 2 guys who will work in a Joe Mazzulla offense.
Exactly.
They're going to shoot the rock. All right. Like George Niang is going to catch and shoot, and Anthony Simons is going to, I think he shot like 9 threes a game this past year or something like that. Like he's going to shoot 20 on the Celtics now. Like
he's one of
like light it.
7 or 8 players last year that averaged 3 or more made threes a game.
Yeah.
So you know how I knew it was a good trade?
It'll work.
I think I saw a video of Paul Pierce saying it was a bad trade. That's how I knew it was a good trade.
That's when.
And for people that are like, "Why is a Celtics fan saying that?" That's how you know that I'm not one of those Celtics fans. Getting back to the actual finals game and the NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder actually capped off one of the most impressive seasons that we've seen from an individual team perspective in recent memory, honestly. I know Dawson had a bunch of stats on like how many wins they were on pace to have. Obviously, their playoff run may have been a little underwhelming compared to what their regular season was like. However, MVP, Finals MVP, and an NBA championship for SGA, and Hunter has mentioned, and we've all mentioned, they have a really good team. Where does this team rank for you guys? And we can do a video or a podcast like this where we actually deep dive into this, but where does this team rank all time? Is it an all-time team because of what they did in the regular season, accolades from their players, they won the title? Or was it a team that had a really good regular season, but it's just another one of those teams that we've seen in the last 7 years where they were good to win a title this year, but all-time wise, it might not shake up every year?
I want to talk about the Shea aspect of this before I talk about the team aspect. Shea had one of the more impressive seasons ever in NBA history. He joins a list of 3 others of players with a MVP, a championship, and a scoring title all in the same year. Do you guys know who the other 3 are?
LeBron?
Nope.
Jordan?
Jordan's one.
Hakeem won a regular season MVP. No, he didn't.
But it was MVP, scoring title, and championship, and finals MVP. But yeah.
What was
Kareem.
it?
What'd you say, Hunter?
Kareem.
Kareem is another one.
Shaq.
Shaq is the last one. Shaq is actually the last player to win the scoring title
2000?
and then win. Yeah, 25 years ago, and then win the same championship in that following year. I don't know if you guys saw
crazy
on Twitter. You guys are aware of Colin Cowherd. I don't need to give a deep dive. Did you guys see he ranked the last 7 NBA champions?
Oh no.
Brock, did you not see the list? Hunter saw the list. I know he's shaking his head.
No. I don't even want to know.
So it's bad. He has the bubble Lakers as the best team in the last 7 years.
I'm already out.
Boston last year. And then it goes Denver in 23, Warriors in 22, Bucks in 21, this year's Thunder team, and then the worst is the 2019 Raptors.
See, it's weird. It's hard ranking those because you really have to consider just the finals, like either the playoff run or even for honestly, Golden State, you could only take into consideration that finals series because everybody on Golden State was on fire. So it's really hard to rank. Oh.
But I guess the reason I bring this up is there's no realm, no possibility that the Thunder are the 6th best NBA champion since 2019. I would have them, honestly, either at 1 or at 2 with last year's Celtics. Then I'd have the Bucks up there when they won theirs.
Which is funny because I would have said I would have went Thunder, Bucks, Celtics. So
yeah, I think that 3 is very interchangeable when you're talking team talent and how well they play together and how dominant that team was. But having them, this list that I saw I had to bring it up
for clicks. That's definitely for clicks.
But yeah, to sum up my thoughts, this Thunder team was super impressive. Like we said, they were the best team all season. The question of the youth factor with them was a real concern. We saw it in some of the games in this series, but what I think is going to be remembered most is that game 4 when they're down 10 points, I think with 2 or 3 minutes left in the third, and they're able to keep it a single digit deficit, and they're able to climb their way back. That's what's going to be remembered for this Thunder team. And yeah, I don't know if they're an all-time championship team, but in recent memory, they're for sure up there and need to be talked about more.
That game 4 is proof that you can't do. There's too many things that have happened this playoffs, so you can't do what ifs. I know a lot of people want to say Tyrese was on pace to have a historic Game 7 performance when he got hurt, and everybody wants to do the what ifs of what that performance or what the result of that game would have looked like. There's too many things that would have happened in the past that could have changed everything completely anyways, that it's so hard to do the what if stuff anymore. But yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I consider them an all-time great, because like honestly, like when I think of like all-time great NBA championship teams, like last 25 years, I don't. There's not a ton that necessarily come to mind. I think of Golden State, and
Yep.
not necessarily Golden State specific year, probably just like that group, that era.
Right. I
The
think when you talk Golden State, I think their most dominant statistical year was the 17 year
yeah,
when I think they had the second or third best point differential ever, including playoffs and regular season. But yeah.
the Heatles, obviously, and then the Spurs early 2000s, and then the Lakers before that. So you got four teams. Because I don't know if I consider any of the last 7 champions all-time teams. Maybe I'm a little picky on what I consider an all-time great team.
I think it's too early to tell with this Thunder team because we don't know if this is a pattern of something. Like this
Yep.
is something that they're going to continue to do. But they had the 4th best differential ever when you include playoffs and regular
That's
season.
crazy.
I think it was the 71 Bucks, the 16-17 Warriors, and the 95-96 Bulls.
I will say, for me personally, they out of the 7. For those that don't know, the last 7 years, there's been 7 different NBA champions.
Yeah,
which no league has that outside of the NBA, and that's why I can't understand why people don't like watching the NBA. Yeah, it might be predictable in terms of a lot of the favorites end up winning it, but every year one of the favorites is a team that hasn't won it, usually in the last couple of years. So yeah, I'm done with those people that say it's too predictable and not enjoyable or whatever. But I Oklahoma City for me is the best out of the last 7 NBA champions. And I think depending on how next year goes or the year after that, it could be one of the best dynasties in NBA history. Because I think I saw the odds; they're like plus 220 to win to repeat, basically, which is really good odds heading into the offseason.
I think the next closest team is like plus 600 or 700, and I think it's like. I think the Rockets might be up there. I know the Cavs are up there.
The Rockets
jump a bunch.
We need to talk about the Rockets soon
for certain reasons.
With this Thunder
we'll wrap up this NBA Finals thing real quick. Hunter, what are your thoughts on this Oklahoma City team in terms of where you rank this season for them, all time wise?
Season wise, spectacular. I mean, heck, probably had. I think, what are they? They for sure got to be top 5 in just number of wins, right? For a championship, right? Obviously, you have the dude who wins the MVP. You have best record. You have this, and statistically, I have no problem with putting them at a good spot. And here's the thing: I might sound like a certain brand that is disliked by many, including myself, because I don't really like this other brand either. This is very much a take that no. This is a take that would be shared by these certain individuals. I'm not even going to bother saying who it is. There's no point bringing it up. I'm sure there's people who are fans of them. You can be fans of them. That's okay, but I don't respect them. They just aren't memorable. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I could tell you a single thing about this OKC team besides, I mean, obviously, like, yes, I watch basketball. I could tell you who's on the roster. I'm 5 years from now, probably could tell you a few of them still. There were no iconic moments that I can really hardcore think of. Like when I think of this overall run, I'm not saying it wasn't impressive. I'm not saying, at the end of the day, the reason they won is because it's good basketball, and that is applauded for, and that's why they'll be remembered statistically is how just dominant they were on the floor. And at the end of the day, like that's all that matters. In my own headspace, when I'm going to be ranking the best finals winners of the last 7 years from now, I, statistically, again, might remember this team. And again, if they repeat, I'll probably remember them for sure then, because we'd be considering the last 8 years or 9 years if they repeat, because we'll have to look at different winners. But I wouldn't be able to tell you anything that they did besides anything that's on a graph. So in that way, I will not remember them, but I will remember them for how good they were and that they beat my number one op. So
that's why I
that's where I'm
think,
at with them.
at least for me, I'm going to think the Pacers run more when I
Yes.
think of this playoffs than I am going to be the Thunder, despite how dominant the Thunder were.
Yeah.
Because their playoff run was kind of goofy. They had easy series against Memphis, absolute dogfight against the Nuggets where they almost lost that one, easy series against Minnesota, absolute dogfight against Indiana. So
And like
who knows? But Hunter's right. They didn't really have memorable moments. I think you can think of 3 or 4 different memorable moments for Indiana. Like Halliburton's game winner in game 1, game winner in game 1 of the Knicks series, game winner in game 2 of the Cavs series, and game winner in game 5 of the Bucks series. Those are just off the dome that I can think, but you're really I really got to go in the bag to think of a Thunder moment for this playoffs.
I was about to say you could almost pick out more moments that happened against the Thunder more than moments that happened in the favor of the Thunder.
Right, the Denver game winner that was that game 1? Game 2? That Aaron Gordon hit that game winner?
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
and yeah, like I some Thunder fan out there is just like, I'm super upset that you said this. Like, hey, I'm willing to admit that's a very normie kind of basketball take. All right. Like that, and I'm not saying I'm not impressed with the Thunder. And again, at the end of the day, we see the statistical anomaly of the Thunder being more important than the iconic moments that the Pacers had. But that's not what people remember. It just isn't. I don't have, unless you're a Jokic stan and you just have graphs memorized, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So watch hoops.
The thing that's impressive, though, is that this team, like you mentioned, Hunter, they win next year, will definitely be reconsidering this. This team is really young, so these names outside of SGA haven't fully established themselves in terms of where they are in the league. Are they stars? Are some of them borderline superstars?
Yeah.
That's a different conversation that we could
are you
have.
talking about Jalen Williams or Jalen Williams?
Not to be confused with Jalen Williams.
Yeah. I was going to say you forgot about Jalen Williams.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope there's someone on their staff that's named Jalen Williams, and it's spelled
That'd be
differently
awesome.
too.
That'd be
I would love that. But also shout out Nick Collison getting his first NBA championship too.
Oh, Nick Collison.
Oh, is he on the staff?
He's on
I
the
didn't
staff.
even know that.
But
guy.
Iowa legend. Not
But,
University of Iowa, but state of Iowa, high school
Yes.
legend.
yeah,
We're not talking about the college he went to.
Yeah. Hey, he lost in Hilton. That's all I got to say. Him and Kurt Heinrich, a little goggle wearing blank word.
I think the other thing too with this Thunder team also is that the reason they were so it has to do with defense, and it's pretty rare to have when you think of iconic defense, like in the finals, the block. That you don't remember how the defense was the entire rest of the game. I guarantee it. But you remember the block. And in my mind, to get Brock back in here, the more important thing, the more iconic one is the sun block that Giannis had in the finals. When he was guarding one guy. Yeah, for all those, I can't friggin' Skip Bayless. It wasn't that impressive. He's literally guarding another player. He lobbed it and still blocked the other guy from dunking. One of the other more iconic blocks in NBA history.
Don't let those midday sports personalities.
Boston media, you mean? Yeah.
No, not even the Boston media. Because I can tell you right now who hates Boston, and that is Stephen A. Smith. And somehow Stephen A. Smith went from Tyrese is not a superstar, which I'm not saying Tyrese is a superstar by any means, to this Thunder championship wasn't that impressive in a span of 2 weeks. And it's brother.
NBA media is just the worst.
It's cooked.
Pretty
bad.
Relative to other professional sports and how media is covered for them, it is the worst.
I'd rather talk about what the Dallas Cowboys need to do to find a way to even make the NFC Championship game for 5 hours instead of them to even talk about the NBA anymore.
Right. They're constantly just tearing these players down after these incredible moments. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's a big reason why a lot of those NBA players do have big egos is because they don't like the media. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's well documented that LeBron and Stephen A do not get along whatsoever. And you know what? You want to convince me to become an NBA, a LeBron fan? If there was a cage match between LeBron and Stephen A. Smith, I would be wearing all the LeBron jerseys. All of the LeBron jerseys that night.
Can I say LeBron versus Skip Bayless instead? Because I think
how about both of
true.
like it's a 1-on-2 cage match. LeBron gets both of them at once.
I like it. I like it.
And then Max Kellerman gets to do play-by-play for it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what Oklahoma City does do in the future. Also, for the people that freaked out about the leaked video of Oklahoma City having those buses already pre-wrapped with the championship things, if you don't think other teams don't do that when they're one game away from winning a title, you're crazy. I don't think you guys realize how hard it is to get all that stuff done in a span of 3 days before a parade. I don't even think it was 3 days for the Thunder. They just went 2 days. And let's just get on these things.
You probably get to the finals, and you're probably we
They're
should probably
designed.
have this ready. Just FYI.
They have the parade buses ready. They have the T-shirts ready. The hats ready. Like, some kids out there are going to end up with some Indiana Pacers NBA champions shirt and T-shirt and stuff like that.
I know. Yeah. It's crazy to think that there's people that may not know that Boston
it doesn't grow on a tree. Are you kidding me?
The Suns have an NBA championship in the last 5 years.
I will say, LeBron apparently is the GOAT for sure in other places, and
Jordan's over.
And Jordan is the worst player of all time.
This guy's
dude.
terrible.
The Jazz got 2 titles then.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Rough.
Yeah.
Rough. That's tough.
Dang, I'm thinking about all the what the NBA would look like if it was flipped in the finals. Ew. It's some really ew situations going on here.
The Magic would have a finals within the last 15 years.
Dwight Howard would be a finals MVP.
He would.
Helu Turkoglu would be a star player on an NBA championship team. Jameer Nelson would be as well.
Shout out Jameer Nelson.
Dog. What a dog.
Oh my gosh.
Karl Malone would have a ring. He'd have 3 rings if you do the math. 2 with the Jazz, 1 with the Lakers. If you reversed all the titles. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler would have okay, let's move on.
Yep. Rockets.
Yeah, that was actually where I was going. The Houston Rockets, I knew something was cooking when they gave Ime Udoka an extension. Some people don't think that's anything. I always think when someone gets an extension so early, it's a sign that they're trying to lure a player or convince someone that this is where you want to come. And a few days later, I think it was, Kevin Durant. I'll say what happened. Kevin Durant got traded to Houston in exchange for Jalen Green, a bunch of picks. There was another player involved.
Dylan Brooks. How could one forget about Dylan Brooks? Yeah.
Sorry. I forgot that he was even playing basketball still.
Wow.
But Kevin Durant is now a Houston Rocket, and it was announced while he was on a live show at Fanatics Fest in New York, which a lot of people were like, again, this is another thing that people need to understand. If you don't think Kevin Durant didn't know he was going to Houston before he went out there, you're crazy. Because I'm seeing people post the video. I was there when Kevin Durant found out that he was going to Houston. No. If anything, Kevin Durant told Phoenix that he's going to Houston and then went to New York and went figure it out. And so, but Durant is a Rocket. The Rockets were a 2 seed this year. Have a good, they did get rid of Jalen Green, but they had some young athletes. Sengun is someone that a lot of people have a lot of praise for in the NBA as a potential future star, not superstar, but a star of the league. What were your guys' reactions to this? I can give you guys mine after it, but yeah, what were your guys' thoughts on Kevin Durant again finding a way to demand himself out of a city that he wanted to be in?
I love this trade for Houston. Like, everything about this, I think, is perfect. What they had to give up was not a whole lot. I mean, you gave up Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks. You did give up the 10th pick in this upcoming draft in tomorrow night's first round, but that 10th pick was not going to get rotation minutes for the Rockets this year. It was just going to be kind of like what Reed Shepard was last year. Like, cool, we have a high pick, but you're going to have to learn and sit behind the veterans for a year. And then 5 second-round picks is what they ended up giving up for a guy who is 37. I will caution people on that. He's 37 years old. Who is the most consistent 25 points a game for the past 17 years in the league. He's been probably the best mid-range shooter in the NBA since he came into the NBA. If you just swap him and Jalen Green in that series against the Warriors, they easily beat the Warriors. Jalen Green was horrid in that series against Golden State. I think he averaged 13 points a game, and that's with him having a 37-point game. So you can drop his averages just a little lower if you take that game out. But this is a home run for Houston, and they still have assets to get another guy. I'm not going to say who the other guy they would have in mind, but they still have assets to get another star, maybe another guard. But I love this for Houston. And Phoenix still got like an okay return. They didn't get an A grade for me, but like they still got a pretty good, nice haul for a 37-year-old superstar.
Yeah, it was something. I'm going to do something that's not done on this podcast very often, okay? And it's defend Kevin Durant, all right? Because I'm not saying that he didn't want out. I'm not going to say I don't know the conversation's happening. However, Phoenix
apparently
Suns,
there was fights in the locker room.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, another thing wrong with the NBA media. But the Phoenix Suns were in a gross position. And when I say gross, I mean like worse than the team for the hat I'm wearing. Like really, really bad situation where they don't own any picks and have absolutely no way to make the team any better and have some of the worst, have the worst contract in the NBA on their team right now. Okay.
Shout out Brad Beal.
That also just can't be traded. So like, you're just stuck with it. There's nothing they can do, which means they either run it back and just be terrible, even though there's no return on it, or you start dishing out players. And the first guy on the chopping block had to be Kevin Durant. Because the next guy on the list is Devin Booker. And that is going to be a wild day if and when that happens.
It's when.
Yeah, because the Suns kind of have to, but at the same time, like the current iteration of the Phoenix Suns is Devin Booker and has been for years. Even though, like people, in my mind, Devin Booker's still like 24. Like he's the Jason Tatum of youth in my mind. But they just have to. And so even if Kevin Durant wanted out, I'd be shocked if this wasn't mutual. First of all. Okay.
Oh yeah.
To defend our boy K-Dog.
But I will counter that though, that I think every trade or every team that he has been forced out of has been mutual by the time that they've traded him.
Yeah, I'm not. Like everything leading up to it is a whole different thing. And who knows what's going on there. And also another funny thing, I guess, now to backtrack and no longer defend Kevin Durant. Really interesting thought exercise is Kevin Durant will go in league history as one of the best scorers in the NBA. Yet is not a single franchise he's played for is not the best player anymore. Which is wild.
Yeah,
absolutely wild. Now, and like
we did have that conversation We had that conversation a couple months ago. If
Yeah.
SGA did win a title, if
Mhm.
he and I, yep.
Yeah. Like he is like even before then, like it was probably like, oh, is it KD, is it Russ?
I mean,
Especially
Carmelo.
considering everything going on, and yeah.
But I mean, Carmelo is one of the greatest scorers of all time, and he's not any franchise that he's been a part of best player.
You don't think he is with the Blazers?
Shut
That's
up, Dawson.
That's a good point.
Or the Hawks? They're like 2 seconds he was with the
Carmelo
Hawks.
better. Is Carmelo Thunder better than Durant Thunder?
Tough.
Who knows?
But anyway,
who knows?
To get back to the trade though, I'm in the same boat as Dawson. I really like this for the Rockets. I'm I'm really like I'm not tempted to become a fan, but I am so locked in on the Suns right now. I'm so curious on what this basketball team is and what they're doing. Like if they go into this regular season with Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Jalen Green on, but they won't. But Matt Ashiba's in charge, so there is a possibility that happens.
Oh, they'll have a worse shooting guard. I'm already telling you right now.
I'm just so lost on like what is happening.
You want to talk about devil magic? I'm telling you right now, Brad Stevens already has something working up right now.
You guys are gonna get Bradley Beal, and you're gonna like it.
I mean, hey, you know what? It'd be a long time freaking coming. I'm not saying that I want him by any means. You know how long it's been
about
of like
7 years too late.
Jason Tatum and Bradley Beal need to team up together, brother. I don't know why I started talking like Hulk Hogan right there.
Derek White gets sent to the Suns for Devin Booker and all of the picks that Phoenix has.
No, it's gonna be it's gonna be Derek White for Grayson Allen and Bradley Beal is what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
no, it's gonna be JD Davidson for Devin Booker and the 10th pick. But yeah, they're gonna like it. And Luke Cornett. We'll throw in Luke Cornett to be nice.
No, I wouldn't trade him.
I'm just so interested in what this team's gonna look like.
They're a great 2K team right now in terms of being able to rebuild.
Yeah,
because you can do whatever you want.
It's something. But then to get back to the Rockets, I mean, like people have been doing the like same recycle tweet every year with Jalen Green. I think we need to learn our lesson of, he's only 21, he's only 22, he's only 23. Like he's just not getting better at this point. Like prove me wrong, Jalen Green, but like the dude is a walking inefficiency. And on a team with him, and once again, I will never miss an opportunity to slander him and Fred VanVleet, the walking 9 for 21. Like something had to change. And so when
I feel like there's a type of player in the NBA that like puts up highlights and clicks and all that. It gets clicks on social media, and that's how some people define as superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And Jalen Green's one of those. But like, is he really that guy?
Hey, he's
like,
cool, I guess. Yeah. Like he gets a dunk, he gets some cool dunks, nothing wrong with that. But especially, considering one, I think a lot, like if you were to ask someone who, again, just would like not be a Rockets fan from the outside looking in and be like, oh, Jalen Green is probably the best player. I have a really strong feeling if you ask a Rockets fan that, they probably would not have said Jalen Green. You might have been one of the more exciting or most exciting players on the team. Also, maybe one of the most headache-driven players on the team. But overall, when in a team that we kind of talked about going into the postseason as a team that we're just not sure who the ball, like in the playoffs, like who's going to get the ball, like in the crunch time, when you just need a bucket, when you just need to get down the stretch and get back into a game or extend a lead, like who's going to get the ball? They have their guy now. Even if he is old, they have their guy now. And that's a big deal.
Do they?
I say yes. I think it's still possible.
I don't think they're done yet.
Stop. Just stop. I think like his age, I'm sure will like Father Time always does his thing. But he like you got Kevin Durant on your team now, man. Like, they already played as well as they did this last season, and they add him to the team.
Real quick, the Suns managed to turn Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and 5 first-round picks into Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and 1 first-round pick.
Massive.
Before we move on to like the last segment, I don't know what we're gonna do, but yeah, that had to be said. So
are Are they in terms of the Western Conference, the second best team heading into next season if it started tomorrow?
I mean, they
would
already
say so.
were.
But were they? I know
They were.
I think so. When looking at the West, I mean, I gotta pull up the standings just so I can refresh my memory.
Yeah.
But
it's
the
gonna
Lakers,
be a dogfight, but
the Lakers are another year older. LeBron's gonna be 41 this upcoming year.
I will go out on a limb and
lost
say
weight. Luka lost weight. All right, this is the year.
Life.
He might have lost weight last year and the year before that, but he lost weight this year, so you better watch out.
But
I will go out on a limb and say LeBron is playing his last season in LA. I don't think it's that big of a hot take. I just don't think he'll be playing for the Lakers next year.
So you think he's going to sign somewhere else this free agency?
I guess. I mean, that would be the most LeBron thing to do is sign with his hometown team when the East is absolutely destroyed.
Oh my gosh, he's going back home. He's going home, Dawson. That's massive.
Come back, buddy. Come back. We'll even take Bronny. We'll do the.
You
the
want me to
father-son
become
project.
a Durant fan again? I will.
What?
If LeBron goes to Cleveland, I will become a Durant fan. I will be rooting hard.
Let's do it.
Houston Rockets.
Let's do it.
All once Durant got traded to Houston, the only thing that was playing in the back of my mind was the video from the Olympics where he was like, "They're gonna be some trouble for them Boston Celtics," and then there's just Ime in the background of like saying Ime Udoka in the background said something like, "We're gonna beat your ass" or something like that, and I was like, "This is great," and that's why when he got traded there. In my mind, it made total sense of why they extended Ime because I think he wanted to make sure that Ime was going to be, in that situation. So, I guess we got a couple minutes before we go. The NBA draft is going to be tonight, I guess, when this show is airing. We're recording on a Tuesday night. I guess instead of giving mock drafts, do you guys have any like bold takes or interesting takes that you want to give out before we go?
Ace Bailey falls out of the top 5. The guy who was the odds-on favorite to be the third pick to Philly for the last 2 months, he will not be selected in the top 5. That's my hot take.
I hate that take just because it might happen, and I think it's dumb that it might happen.
Because it sounds like Edgecomb's going 3.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he doesn't want to go to Utah, who's got 4, or Utah's got 5, and Charlotte's got 4. It sounds like he wants to go to Washington or the Pelicans, which is so gross.
Bailey, is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, but
I mean, if he's
Bailey,
I mean, want to play with Timon and Pumbaa too down in New Orleans at this point,
dude.
That was a big trade that happened.
Yeah.
But
Who knows
what is happening in Washington D.C.?
They have the most experienced bench of all time. Chris Middleton. You got CJ McCollum coming off the bench.
Yeah, Malcolm Brogdon. Who's
not
going to be on the team. They have Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, and a bunch of 20-year-olds. Welcome to the unction. All right, this is crazy.
Dude,
but yeah. But no, I don't hate that take. I hate the take from Dawson just because I think it might happen. I think it's dumb that it might happen.
Brooklyn won't end up having all 5 picks.
Yeah, no, I don't know what to expect at this point.
If
just based off of the last 3 days, I have no clue.
The Western Conference, I'm not worried about in terms of teams that are contending, making moves to become even better. I think teams in the Western Conference that are selling, though, every Eastern Conference team right now, and I literally mean everybody because of how open the Eastern Conference could potentially be this year.
Except they have admitted defeat already.
Except for the Wizards. Breaking news. The Washington Wizards have already been eliminated from playoff contention for the 2026 season. Won't even make the play-in game. So back in the lottery for those guys. But if you're in the Eastern Conference right now, and you're not picking up the phone trying to see if you can make any kind of move possible, Brooklyn has a lot of leverage tomorrow, which is hilarious.
So funny
to even say that Brooklyn may have some sort of leverage in terms of being able to put together a package deal. What that will look like, who knows? I know that it sounds like Edgecombe is going 3, but like I am not necessarily convinced, and maybe it's been totally confirmed by Philadelphia. I'm not convinced that Philly wants to keep the 3rd pick still, and maybe that's just me being delusional.
Just the way the East is now. Like,
East is crazy.
Who knows? And
this is further proof why certain franchises like Chicago makes no sense why you struggle all the time.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad.
I got one more hot take before we're done.
Okay.
Boston ends up in the lottery tomorrow.
Is that? Oh,
Boston
in the lottery?
ends up in the lottery. I don't know for who, but Brad Stevens is doing something. He cleared all that salary off the books. He's doing something to get a nice high pick. Maybe it's Derek Queen. Maybe it's Kaman Malawak. Maybe it's someone like that.
Somehow Brad Stevens is going to pull. Everybody's making fun of him right now for giving Kristaps Porzingis for George Niang and a 2nd-round pick. Somehow it's going to turn into Devin Booker and the number 10 pick in the draft tomorrow. Going to go to Boston. I'm completely kidding, by the way. I do not believe any of that stuff. But unfortunately for everybody else in the East, you really as long as Stevens is in the front office, you can't count out Boston really in terms of being able to make moves like that. I don't think they're going to be anywhere in the title conversation this year, but I think he's setting himself up for the following season as well. Hunter, any final thoughts?
No.
Okay, you go in.
I hate Boston.
That's fair, I guess. For Dawson Livingston and Hunter Rose, I'm Brock Bierman. Make sure to like, subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment if you feel we've said something dumb or whatever. We usually do say something dumb half the time in the show.
Never. I dare you to show your face. I never say anything wrong.
Gosh. Make sure to listen to our other shows. I don't know the next time the Sports Nerds will be able to make an episode. I know there hasn't been much really going on in the NFL anyways. So
except for Aaron Rodgers being done after this year. My GOAT is done.
All right. And on that note, we will see you next week. We will probably recap the NBA draft, and free agency will get started, and who knows what type of trades are going to go down tomorrow or the next couple days throughout the NBA draft. So for Hunter Rose and Dawson Livingston, I'm Brock Bierman. We'll see you next week.